In this video, I will try to give you an introduction to slating and how to slate. I know this has been covered before on YouTube in some videos, but most of them don't tell you what you actually need to know, and that is how to lay out the roof, including the first row of slates ready for slating. Now, this isn't meant to be an all-encompassing guide or set you on the way to re-roofing stately homes and whole housing estates. I'm going to take you through the basics so that you'll have enough general knowledge to tackle your own small projects if you want to. Now, the reason I'm not going in depth is because full slating instructions and every situation that can happen is actually too long and confusing to make into a video. So I'm going to concentrate on how to slate a roof with new pre-holed slate or good quality reclaimed slates. If you do want more information on slating roofs that perhaps is a little bit more in depth, please visit my website links anytime by clicking on the link at the end of the video or in the description bar. The first thing to do before any slating takes place is to check the angle or pitch of your roof. Depending on how steep or shallow your roof is, this will dictate how much overlap or headlap is required on your slates. Checking the angle of your roof is very easy these days. Every smartphone or tablet has lots of pitch and angle finder apps that work very well. I've tested some of them and found them to be accurate to within 1 or 2 degrees, which is pretty good for free. Once you know the angle of your roof, check it against the manufacturer's specification, or on my website or others to make sure that your slates will have enough headlap to fit your needs. If you live in exposed areas likely to receive above average wind or rain, factor this in as well. These figures can normally be found from the slate manufacturer or slate supplier. For the benefits of this video, let's say that we're using either good quality reclaimed slate or new pre-holed slates, and that they fit the slope and weather conditions of our roof. That way we don't have to re-hold hundreds of slates. If you're using new pre-holed slate, they will come with the default batten gauge and lap already defined by the manufacturer, and obviously you will have already checked that it's suitable. If you're using reclaimed slates, also check the suitability, and I'll show you how to do this later on in the video. Let's just have a closer look at this roof. What you're looking at is the nice even slate spacing or gauge from the bottom to the top of the roof. And without the basic knowledge of how to do this, you won't be slating any roof worth having. Okay, so now we've had a quick look, let's strip the roof off with Photoshop and see how it was done. Let's take this to be your new or newly stripped roof. To get it ready for slating, make sure that your rafters or trusses are clean of any splinters or old nails that may damage the membrane or undersarking that's going to go on next. The next step is to roll out your chosen undersarking starting at the bottom. This can be a traditional reinforced felt, sometimes known as 1F or underslater's felt or undertiler's felt if you're under tiles, or a newer breathable membrane such as this. Here I'm using 1F for illustration purposes. Starting at the left or right, roll out a length of undersarking. The undersarking should hang over the bottom of the roof and into the guttering if possible. Not too long, so that it sits in the bottom of the guttering, impeding water flow and attracting dirt, and not too short. It's normally round about 50mm or 2 inches, I find. Now secure one edge with 25mm or 1 inch galvanised clout nails. Nail firmly into position, but not so hard that the undersarking is damaged or ripped. Gently pull your chosen undersarking taut from the other end. However, you don't want it tight. What you're looking for is a suggestion of sag between the rafters. This is so in the event of water making it past the slates, either via a breakage or exceptional weather conditions, the water will be drawn into the dips in the undersarking, down and into the gutters and away. Once you have the desired tautness, fix the other end of the undersarking with some more nails, and then fill in with a few more nails. There's no need to put too many in though, as the battens or lats that you'll be putting on later will hold the undersarking firmly in place. Next, we need to place some of your chosen slates onto the roof, along with some battens, to help us have a look at the batten spacings a bit better. Pick up 2 battens and place them on the roof. One will be used to set out the starter course, also known as eave slates or undercourse slates. The other batten will help us set out your first full course of slates and the roof overhang into the gutters. Here are the first 2 battens placed onto your roof. Do not fix them. Allow them to float free so that you can adjust them at will. Place your first full slate onto the roof and set your bottom slate overhang. Normally this works out to about 50mm or 2 inches. It's not critical, but it should allow the rainwater to dribble into the centre of the guttering, but still be easy to access for cleaning and maintenance should that be required. Make sure that your slates and nail holes are close to the centre of the batten. When you're happy with the position, just put a couple of temporary fixings into the batten to hold it in place. Next, slip the other batten under your slate and kissing up to the underside of the batten you've just pinned on. Measure and cut your first eave slate as pictured. I have made the top slate slightly translucent so that you can see the process better. I like to cut my eave slates just a few millimetres short of the bottom of the full slate. I find this gives a much more pleasing look to the edge of the slates without affecting performance. And I know that some people like to turn the eave slate upside down to show the riven edges like this. When you're happy with the position, pin the batten into place. Now it's safe to fix the first 2 slate battens to the roof. To make sure the battens are parallel, measure from a fixed point such as the brickwork, fascia or a wall plate underneath the undersarking. Obviously make sure that that's parallel first. Once you're happy, nail into position with galvanised nails that penetrate through the batten and into the rafters underneath for a minimum of 40mm. Now we're a bit more secure, add a 3rd batten from above and slide it underneath the top of your slate as pictured. Sit it nice and central with the slate's top edge resting central or no less than 8mm onto your batten. Next, add your second full slate like this and use it to adjust the batten so that the 3rd batten that you've just put on is parallel. Make sure that nothing has moved by rechecking your first full slate still sits on or close to the middle of the batten. Now line up the slate holes in your top slate into the middle of the batten or thereabouts. When happy, pin the batten into place. Before we go any further, let's just familiarise ourselves with what we're looking at so we understand the process a little bit better. Here, with these slates on the roof like this, we will be able to see the double lap of slates, the slate lap or head lap, and get our first real look at batten gauge. Firstly, double lapping slates, which in the UK is most slate roofs. If we look here, taking this eave slate as an example, we can see it is overlapped by the slate above. Not only once, but twice by the slate above that one. If I just shade in the area I'm talking about, it might be easier to understand. And this double lapping will be true when slating the rest of the roof all the way to the top. Every slate is covered twice, double lap. Okay, let's have a quick look at the all-important slate lap or head lap. What can be seen here with the help of these 2 lines is the distance or cover allowed between the nail holes of your first full slate and the bottom of the next covering slate. Commonly in the UK it can vary anywhere from 50mm to 100mm depending on the roof slope, exposure to weather, type and size of slate and other factors. For this example I've said it's 70mm. If you're unsure, you can ask about this at your local roofing yard or slate supplier and they would be more than happy to help you out. Or look on my website for slate tables and explanations. In our case, I will be using pre-holed slates, so let's not complicate things further and have a look at batten gauge. If you now measure from the top of one batten to the top of the other batten on your first 2 full courses of slates, you will see the gauge. This is the name given to the batten spacings that will set out your new roof. Making sure nothing has moved, measure the gauge by dropping a tape measure on these 2 points. In our case, it works out to 180mm or 18 centimetres. Now measure from the top of your last batten to the point where you want the roof to stop. This is usually just short of the top to allow for ridge tiles or lead flashings, for instance. Here the measurement is 2.5 metres or 250 centimetres. Now we know we have a desired gauge of 18 centimetres. So what we do now is divide the 250 centimetres by 18, which gives us 13.8. Obviously, 13.8 isn't a whole number, so what we do is simply round it up to 14. This means we know we will need 14 battens to reach our end point. Now all we do is take our distance of 250 centimetres and divide by the 14 rows of batten we require, and it shows us that we need a gauge of 17.85 to do this correctly. It's always useful to double check any figure, so let's work it out this way. Multiply our new gauge of 17.85 by the 14 rows we need and you get 249.9. Now that's close, very close to the distance of 250 centimetres. So now we know that it fully checks out. By using our batten gauge of 17.85 centimetres, we can now work our way to the top of the roof. Overlap any undersarking by 150mm or 6 inches or thereabouts every time you lay a new length. Your roof is now set out and ready to slate. Well, that concludes this video, and hopefully you understand the basics a little bit better. To see part 2 of this video, which shows you how to fix the slates onto the roof, abutment slates, edge slates and the all-important top row of slates, visit the link on the screen now or in the description bar. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching.